What's up, Steelers Nation? Welcome back to the channel. And before we get into this breaking update, let's just take a moment to recognize one thing. This team is still in the fight. Week after week, through the ups and downs, your Pittsburgh Steelers continue to push, adapt, and try to get better. Whether it's the defense adjusting after injuries or the offense trying to find its identity under Aaron Rodgers, the mission remains the same. Get stronger, play smarter, and deliver results. If you're proud of the grind and believe in this team's journey, go ahead and smash that like button right now. It helps a ton, and it shows that Steelers Nation stays loyal no matter what. Now, let's get to the big headline that's been rocking the Steel City since Monday morning. The Steelers have made a surprising roster move that's caught nearly everyone off guard. That's right. After a disappointing showing on Sunday night against the Los Angeles Chargers, the Pittsburgh Steelers have released veteran safety Juan Thornhill, placing him on waivers. This move comes just hours after the team's 25-10 loss on Sunday Night Football, a defeat that was as ugly as it was frustrating. And now, with Thornhill gone, the team's defensive depth chart looks very different heading into Week 11. Let's break down exactly what happened here and why this decision makes sense, even if it stings a little. Thornhill was one of Pittsburgh's notable offseason signings back in 2025. When he arrived, the expectation was clear. He'd bring veteran stability to a secondary that had lost Minkah Fitzpatrick and was looking for a new identity. Early on, things seemed promising. Thornhill was getting consistent snaps, he was active in coverage, and fans thought he might carve out a real role in Mike Tomlin's defense. But it didn't last long. Over the past few weeks, Thornhill's snap count has plummeted. He went from being a core piece of the defense to barely seeing the field. Reports from insiders like Ian Rappaport confirmed that Pittsburgh decided to move on Monday morning, a move that felt inevitable after his recent benchings. The simple truth is, Thornhill struggled. There were too many lapses in coverage, too many missed tackles, and too many moments where he just didn't look like the guy Pittsburgh thought they were getting. The breakdowns in the secondary, particularly in those mid-season losses, often pointed back to communication issues and blown assignments, and Thornhill was at the center of more than a few of them. When the Steelers traded for Kyle Duggar at the deadline and shifted Jalen Ramsey to a safety role, the writing was on the wall. Those two immediately clicked, giving the defense new energy, swagger, and most importantly, consistency. With Duggar and Ramsey holding down the deep field, Thornhill simply became the odd man out. Even Mike Tomlin hinted at this in his press conference earlier this week, emphasizing that we're going to play the guys who give us the best chance to win. That's classic Tomlin speak, but we all know what that means. Thornhill was no longer one of those guys. Statistically, Thornhill wasn't terrible, but he wasn't impactful either. He played in 8 games, recording 38 tackles, 1 pass breakup, and a fumble recovery. Solid on paper, sure, but the tape told a different story. He started just 1 game this season and didn't play a single defensive snap in the last 2 matchups. That's not what you expect from a veteran with Super Bowl experience. At this point, it was clear that the defense actually played better when Thornhill wasn't on the field, especially with the emergence of Duggar and the veteran presence of Chuck Clark. That made the decision much easier for the front office. Now, with the move official, Thornhill will hit the waiver wire, where any team can claim him. And since we're past the trade deadline, he doesn't get the benefit of choosing his next destination as a vested veteran, meaning Pittsburgh gets the final word here. With Thornhill gone, Pittsburgh has an open roster spot, and naturally the question is, who's next? There are a few names floating around the rumor mill that could make sense. 2 to keep an eye on: Quandre Diggs and Asante Samuel. Diggs would bring another veteran safety presence, someone who's physical, instinctive, and has a reputation as a locker room leader. He'd provide depth behind Ramsey and Duggar while also being a strong special teams contributor. As for Samuel, he's more of a cornerback option, but given Pittsburgh's recent injury luck, adding a versatile defensive back who can play both inside and outside could be smart. With Ramsey moving between safety and nickel duties, the Steelers might want someone who can help handle coverage rotations. Another possibility? though more under the radar, would be giving a young player like Trenton Thompson another shot to step into a bigger role. He's shown flashes, and Tomlin's never been afraid to give hungry players their opportunity. Of course, Thornhill's release didn't happen in a vacuum. It came right after one of the ugliest offensive performances of the season. Let's be real, Sunday night's 25-10 loss to the Los Angeles Chargers was brutal to watch. This was supposed to be a statement game, a prime-time showdown between playoff contenders. Instead, it turned into a one-sided disaster that exposed every weakness on this roster. The offense looked lifeless, the energy was gone, and Aaron Rodgers, the future Hall of Famer who's supposed to be the steady hand guiding this ship, looked completely out of sync. Rodgers finished with just 161 yards, one meaningless late touchdown, and 2 interceptions. His passer rating, 50.6. That's not just bad, that's career worst territory. And before that garbage time score, his rating was sitting at an abysmal 19.5. The Chargers' defense bullied Pittsburgh from the opening snap. Khalil Mack sacked Rodgers for a safety in the first quarter after he tried to escape pressure in his own end zone. Then, just a few drives later, another errant throw to DK Metcalf got picked off. It was the kind of night where nothing worked. The Steelers went 0 for 6 on third down in the first half and had just 85 total yards at halftime. The only bright spot was kicker Chris Boswell, who nailed a 59-yarder just to get points on the board. Even when Jaylen Warren broke free for that electric run late in the third quarter, hurdling defenders and firing up the sideline, the offense still stalled out in the red zone. And the defining moment? Rodgers' pass bouncing off Calvin Austin's hands right into the arms of a Chargers defender. That was the game in a nutshell. Sloppy, disjointed, and painful to watch. The Steelers are still technically on top of the AFC North, but let's be honest, that lead feels shaky right now. Baltimore is right behind them, and with this offense sputtering and the defense still finding this rhythm, Pittsburgh needs answers fast. Releasing Thornhill might just be the start of a deeper reset. The message is clear. No one's spot is safe. Mike Tomlin has always preached accountability, and this move shows the organization is serious about it. Whether it's on defense or offense, players need to step up or step aside.
Aaron Rodgers looked uncomfortable, the wide receivers couldn't separate, and the passing game just never found its rhythm. But what we've now learned is that the Steelers were not asleep at the wheel during the trade deadline. In fact, they thought they had a deal done, and it fell apart at the very last minute. According to Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, Omar Khan and the Steelers front office were this close to acquiring a quality wide receiver before the deadline. Dulac dropped the scoop on KDKA's Steelers Kickoff Show, saying they thought they actually had a deal for a wide receiver, would have been a quality wide receiver, and it just kind of fell through, and not from their end. Let that sink in. The Steelers had the move lined up, the target in sight, and something out of their control blew the deal apart. Now, Dulac didn't name names, but that's never stopped Steelers Nation from connecting the dots. When we look at who was available and who was moved near the deadline, a few names pop out immediately. The most realistic option? Jacoby Myers, the dependable wideout from the Las Vegas Raiders. His name was floating around trade rumors for weeks, and the Raiders were reportedly taking calls. Another interesting candidate was Rashid Shaheed, the explosive deep threat from New Orleans who was eventually moved. And then there's the dream scenario, Jalen Waddle. Yeah, the same Waddle from Miami. While the Dolphins never seriously entertained offers, multiple reports confirmed that teams were calling. Could Omar Khan have been one of them? Possibly, but the Dolphins clearly see Waddle as part of their future, so they weren't about to let him go. Still, Dulac's comments make it sound like this wasn't just a phone call. This was nearly a done deal, which means Khan believed the Steelers were about to land a difference maker, someone who could have changed the entire dynamic of this offense. And here's the frustrating part. After watching that Sunday night disaster in Los Angeles, the lack of another receiving weapon couldn't have been more obvious. Rodgers threw for just 161 yards, DK Metcalf was double-teamed all night, and nobody else could step up to make a play. That's where you really feel the absence of a player like George Pickens, the guy the Steelers traded away earlier this year to Dallas. When Pittsburgh brought in Metcalf during the offseason, fans dreamed of a Metcalf-Pickens duo terrorizing defenses. But instead, after that trade, Pickens was shipped off, and the offense has been struggling to find that second consistent playmaker ever since. Sure, Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin III have shown flashes, and yes, the Steelers have tight ends like Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith, and Darnell Washington who can contribute. But let's be real. When Rodgers is under pressure and looking for a spark, he needs someone who can separate and win one-on-one matchups. Right now, that's just not happening often enough. Imagine being Omar Khan. You spend weeks working the phones, evaluating options, looking for a move that could give your offense a boost, and you think you've got it done. Then, at the last minute, the other team pulls out. Whether it was money, compensation, or second thoughts from ownership, something caused the deal to fall apart. That's gotta sting, especially because it's not like Khan didn't try. The Steelers knew that if they wanted to make a deep playoff run, they needed more than just Metcalf and a few role players. They needed another legitimate weapon to take the pressure off Rodgers. Now, instead of celebrating a big addition, Khan and Mike Tomlin are left scratching their heads and trying to figure out what's next, with a brutal stretch of the season still ahead. The trade deadline is in the rearview mirror, but that doesn't mean all hope is lost. The Steelers could still make a free agent signing or even a practice squad elevation to shake things up a bit. There are still a few interesting names out there, guys like Hunter Renfrow, who could thrive as a slot receiver, or Odell Beckham Jr. if the team wanted to roll the dice on a veteran spark. Even if Pittsburgh doesn't make another splash, they'll have to get creative with what they have. That could mean more screen passes to Jaylen Warren, more tight end usage, and a greater emphasis on pre-snap motion to help guys get open. But make no mistake, if the Steelers want to make noise in the AFC, they need Rodgers to play sharper, the line to protect better, and the receivers to start creating separation. That's the formula, and there's no shortcut. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, Aaron Rodgers. The future Hall of Famer looked mortal, maybe even tired against the Chargers. He was late on reads, struggled with pressure, and made uncharacteristic mistakes. Some of that is on the offensive line. Some of it is on the receivers. But at 41 years old, Rodgers simply doesn't have the same escapability he used to. The Steelers need to adjust the offense around that reality. Quicker throws, simpler progressions, and a little more balance through the run game. Because here's the truth, this team still has the potential to be dangerous. The defense, led by T.J. Watt, Jalen Ramsey, and Kyle Duggar, is more than capable of keeping Pittsburgh in games. But without a functioning offense, those efforts go to waste. Was cutting Juan Thornhill the right move? Should the Steelers target another veteran defender like Quandre Diggs or Asante Samuel Jr.? And most importantly, how worried are you about this offense after what we just saw in Los Angeles? Drop your thoughts down below. I want to hear your take. And if you believe in this team's ability to bounce back, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that bell so you never miss our next update. The Steelers are fighting to get better every week, every game, every snap. And with Steelers Nation behind them, you know they'll keep swinging. Here we go, Steelers Nation. Let's ride this out together.